Anti-marijuana crusader Jeff Sessions, who is now the Attorney General for the United States, was recently speaking at the National Association of Attorneys General about the dangers of legalizing marijuana. Why? Because he believes it will be used for more drug use and would lead to more drug-related violence. Now, I want to show you a clip here of him talking about some of the reasons that we don't need to legalize marijuana, that he's against it. Let's take a look.
My view is that crime does follow drugs. In the 70s and 80s, we saw so many lives destroyed by drug abuse. And I think the drugs today are more powerful, they're more addictive, and they can destroy even more lives. Young people have their lives destroyed. I, as you know, am dubious about marijuana. If states, can pass whatever laws they choose, but I'm not sure we're going to be a better, healthier nation that if we have marijuana being sold at every corner grocery store. I just don't think that's going to be good for us. And
Okay, so I love that, right? Oh man, I really don't want them selling pot at the grocery store. What exactly would be wrong with that? Which, by the way, that's not true. They're not doing that. I don't think they ever planned to do that. Now, what you're thinking of is alcohol and cigarettes, which, by the way, right now are far more dangerous than marijuana. But you don't understand. So many lives have been destroyed. Really. Maybe it's because people like Jeff Sessions destroyed them. When you criminalize certain drugs, marijuana specifically, and put people in prison for ingesting a plant, well, yeah, that kind of destroys their lives. In fact, it really destroys their lives. There are a lot of people in prison right now for smoking marijuana. Kind of destroys their life. And then they can't get jobs after they get out. They've got criminal records. There's a lot of things that they can't do when they get out. So sometimes they end up going right back in. Not a good thing. Now, he's going to talk about, he's going to transition over to opiate abuse and marijuana's role in helping to wean people off harder drugs. Now, he doesn't seem to believe this, that it's possible for marijuana to actually help with people getting off opiates. Now, I want you to watch his remarks, and then I'm going to actually give you the facts. Let's take a look.
We'll have to work our way through that. I'd see a line in the Washington Post today that I remember from the 80s. This one was, if you smoke, marijuana is a cure for opiate abuse. Give me a break. I mean, this is the kind of argument that has been made out there, to just almost a desperate attempt to defend the harmlessness of marijuana or even its benefits. I doubt that's true. Maybe science will prove I'm wrong.
Maybe science will prove that I'm wrong. Okay, well, I've got some science for you. The National Academies of Science, Medicine, and Engineering recently found that strong evidence showing that marijuana is effective at dealing with chronic pain in adults. Now, you might be asking, well, wait a minute, what does that have to do with opiate addiction? Well, here's the connection. People get chemically addicted to opiates because they're taking them for chronic pain. This is chronic pain medication. Now, first, what happens is they get this chronic pain, they go to the doctor, they get prescribed an opiate to take care of it, right? Well, during that time where they're taking the medication, some people end up getting addicted because these drugs are highly addictive. Then, when their prescription runs out, they might turn to harder drugs because they're addicted. Oftentimes, it's heroin. So this is one of the reasons that we have a heroin epidemic. And here's another amazing stat. Americans consume roughly 80% of the world's opiate painkiller supply. 80% in just America. Again, it's because they're overprescribed for people that don't necessarily need them. Now, these drugs are often prescribed for long-term treatment of chronic pain. Prescription painkillers and other opioids are highly addictive, and taking too much of them, of course, can lead to your death. Marijuana, on the other hand, it's impossible to overdose on marijuana. Pot won't kill you. That's a fact. Yes, there is some debate on whether or not pot is addictive, but we do know that opiates are very easy to get addicted to. They give you a chemical dependence. Dependence on marijuana, not chemical, but there are other ways that you could be dependent on a drug. Now, there's more. According to a 2014 study in the JAMA Internal Medicine, states with medical marijuana laws between 1999 and 2010 saw on average about 25% fewer opiate overdose deaths than states with such laws. So basically what you do is that if you have medical marijuana and people are taking that instead of opiates, well, golly gee, look at that. You have less fatal overdose from opiates. Amazing. What's more, the effect of a medical marijuana law appeared to grow over time, meaning more lives were saved each additional year after the law's implementation, suggesting an effect of more people using the medical marijuana instead of these opiates. And they're dying less. And they're actually better. They're actually happier. Not only that, but you have a 2015 working paper published by the National Bureau of Economic Research. They found that the presence of medical marijuana dispensaries in a state was linked to a 15 to 35% decrease in admissions to substance abuse treatment centers, along with a similar decline in overdose deaths. So less people getting addicted, less people going in or to these treatment centers, less people dying, all by saying medical marijuana. And yet Jeff Sessions totally against that. He's against it. He's not in favor of it. He says, well, states can do what they want, but it's still legal on the federal level, which means he could still continue to crack down because federal law, of course, supersedes state law, at least when it comes to drug enforcement. That's why President Obama, and I called him out on it, would continue to do raids in California of medical marijuana dispensaries. Now, there's more. I got more science for you. A study published last year in the Journal of Pain found chronic pain patients who were reported marijuana use were actually 64% less likely to report using opiates, more likely to report a good quality of life, and less likely to report negative side effects from their medication. Not only that, but to claim marijuana leads to more violence, well, that's also not backed up by facts. That's another thing they use, the reefer madness. Oh man, you smoke that weed, you're going to get violent. You're going to end up killing people. That's what happens. No, it's not what happens. In fact, a 2014 study showed no increase in violent crime, and actually some evidence of decreasing rates of some types of violent crime, namely homicide and assault in places where at least medical marijuana is legal. The only thing you want to murder when you're high is a bag of chips. And yet, no, reefer madness, man. Reefer madness. You smoke that pot, you're going to become a violent person, and then you're going to go and do that heroin. That's just not true. In fact, smoking marijuana or using the bong or whatever, the edibles, all that stuff actually helps decrease use of opiates. And it has an effect on pain. It makes you a happier person when you do it. If you have chronic pain and you use marijuana to reduce that level of chronic pain, it actually works. And it makes you less likely to go and get harder drugs. Come on, man. Look, if he's even looking for science, he's failing hard. All he should do is look, the journals are there, the studies are there, and we haven't even scratched the surface of the studies. All he's got to do is open a fucking book. All the information is there. And not only that, but again, as I mentioned, we're barely even scratching the surface of marijuana research. Why? Well, it's because marijuana is still on the Schedule 1 drug list. Still a Schedule 1 drug. That means it has zero medicinal value. Zero. Even with all these studies showing, hey, there's value here. No. It's still going to be Schedule 1. We're going to say it's more dangerous than crack. You've got to be ridiculous. Or you've got to be kidding. This is ridiculous. He's ridiculous. Okay? Look, the studies that I show, that I talked about, they demonstrate that that marijuana having no medicinal value is untrue. It is bullshit. That's science. These are there's science, there's facts, and then there's whatever the hell Jeff Sessions is talking about. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.